So far, we learned that the delight of the world to come is thank you. And Rabbi Nachman's first chidush, his first novelty, is to teach us that thank you and halacha is the same thing. Somehow Jewish law and saying thank you is interconnected. In this lesson today, Bezrat Hashem, we're going to find out in a deeper way why they are so connected and what are the parallels that they share. But apparently, the greatest joy you can have in this world is to learn Jewish law. They might have told you that at yeshiva, and it didn't really feel so authentic. And then when you tried it, you realized it was not the case. So we have to understand, when Rabbi Nachman is saying it's a mitzvah gedolah to be b'simcha always, it was so important to Rabbeinu for us to be happy. And on the other hand, he, in his last will and testament, said, make sure that you learn halacha every day. Maybe these two things are not disconnected. Maybe these two things are directly related. So comes Rabbi Nachman to say like this. This shiur should be an aliyah of the neshama for Rav Natan, Tzadik, V'kadosh Livracha, the great chassid of Rabbeinu, the one who teaches us how to be a chassid as well. And in his chut, in his merit, that we have all of Rabbi Nachman's teachings, that Rabbeinu said this himself. And, I always like to say that Rabbi Nachman is my goel, it's my redeemer, and Rav Natan is my hero. So Bezrat Hashem, this class is for my hero. And Rabbeinu says like this: Umizeh ba'a holada benakel. Everything that we have explained so far, from this comes easy childbirth. So thank God we have an all men's class today. Luckily, we live in 2023, and therefore men can also give birth. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea if that's true. I'm guessing maybe it is. But we can give birth in our own way.
Artificial wombs.
Yes. Through artificial intelligence, we can also give birth easily. Everything in life is about giving birth. Everything is a mashal for giving birth. Whether it's the initial pleasure that comes from union, to the birth pangs that come following that initial infatuation period, to the actual living, breathing child, that birth offspring that you give to, that this is our whole life. In fact, I heard once, I don't know where it comes from, but they explained that the whole entire story of the Jews leaving Mitzrayim and going through the Yam Suf is also a metaphor for a woman giving birth. And that the waters of the Yam Suf are like the waters of a woman's womb as she's giving birth. And the Jews leaving Mitzrayim was like a baby leaving the womb of his mother. And there's tremendous parallels between this. It's an amazing idea. So everything is about giving birth. Okay? Ki b'sha'a she'isha kora'at leled yachutecha mitz tanot. It's brought in Chazal, in the Gemara Masechet Sota, Daf Yud Aleph. Interesting phenomenon that when a woman comes to give birth, she bends over to give birth, to get like that force to, and her thighs get cold right before she gives birth. How do we know this? So fascinatingly, just like we were speaking about Mitzrayim, we know this from Paro. Because when Paro was telling Moshe Rabbeinu's mother and Moshe Rabbeinu's sister, the midwives of Mitzrayim, when Paro made this decree that all Jewish boys should be killed, who did he tell to make sure that that decree would be passed? Right, and who were they? It was really Miriam and Yocheved. Those were their Egyptian names. And Rashi explains why those names were their names. It has to do with how they helped the children give birth. They were midwives. Okay, great. So what was the sign? How are they to know when a child is going to give birth so that they could, if it's a boy, follow through and chas v'oli l'shech the kid? So Paro said, when her legs get cold, when her thighs get cold, you know she's about to give birth. And this is an actual phenomenon. Right before a woman gives birth, her thighs get cold. Now what's taking place? The blood which is in the thighs is rising up to the to the abdomen, right? To the diaphragm, and that blood is pushing out the child. Now, what did we learn before? The whole concept of the pleasure of Olam Haba is the concept of halakha, which he related to hilucha, which is the coursing of your blood in your body. That when you have some type of moment of anxiety or a challenge in your life, a difficulty, what happens is you start to feel a panic because you have a chesron, you have a lacking in your life, and you start to run after wisdom. You're looking for Yeshua from a wise man, right? So that's like your blood rushing to your heart. This actually takes place within you. That whole paradigm of the blood rushing to the heart is the same paradigm of us when we go through challenges. We're running to the tzaddik to hear Eitzah that we should be able to move past this thing, right? Once the event has passed, you have heard the Eitzah that you need, you got Eitzah Tova from the tzaddik, and you mamish move past this dangerous period, the blood then goes back to its natural way. That whole experience of the blood coming back into its natural coursing, it's called halucha, which is like halakha. Now, what's the greatest joy in the world? When you're in a really big, dangerous situation, whether chas v'lila, you're in prison, you're in the sea, you're in the desert, you're sick, and then you're not anymore. The amount of gratitude you have, the amount of joy you have, the amount of feeling of elation that you have, it's incomparable to anything else. And there's stories of even tzaddikim that they were in prison, and when they were let out, what a simcha it was. Just something unbelievable. And maybe you in your own life, you've had your own experiences, difficulties, challenges, you felt like you're stuck, and I'm never getting out of this. And then you do. That feeling that you have, right? So that's the pleasure of Olam Haba. That's halakha. That's giving birth. So this is what Rabbi Nachman says. It's through the blood coming from the thighs to the abdomen, that's what's actually allowing this woman to give birth now. That's why that's happening. Because the blood is rising above. And it's pushing out the child from that place. It brings the fetus to the outside. And then what happens? Obviously, as soon as the child comes out, the blood which was in her abdomen goes back down into her thighs. It returns to its place. This is the concept of toda, thank you, halakha. This is the concept of the returning of the flowing of the blood within the arteries and the circulatory system. It goes back to its normal seder. Because halakha itself is a type of birth. Because there are supporters of the Torah. Tomche are literally thighs. There are thighs of the Torah. Shenotni mamon lelomdei Torah, that they give of their parnasa, they give of their money to those who learn Torah. And the only way they're able to do this, to support the learning of Torah, to support the machadishing of new ideas in Torah, revealing new light of God into the world, is by causing themselves to temporarily lack. And remember I said temporarily. They cause themselves to temporarily lack with their own money by giving it over to these who learn. Because when they give their money to the Talmid Chacham, to the sage, nechsar etzlam, it's now lacking by them. This is the concept of the thighs getting cold. How is that? Because the damim tarte mashma. Because everyone knows there's two meanings of blood. There's physical blood, and then, like we learned from Leonardo DiCaprio from 2000, there's blood money. Maybe you learned it from elsewhere, but that's where I learned it from. There's blood money, okay? When people say blood, sometimes they're talking about money. Like, from the bloods, you know what I'm talking about? I just sounded very white. Okay, so what happens? You have blood. It's also money. So what happens when a person gives of his money? He's giving of his blood. So when a Jew who's going to work honestly and uses that money to cause himself to lack so that Talmid Chacham can learn Torah, he is effectively becoming the thigh, which is losing its blood. It's going over to the Talmid Chacham, who can then give birth to Das, to Halacha. Everybody understand the parallel? He's either visualizing this in a very deep way, or he's thinking about that Nickelodeon show he can't wait to go back to watch. Nope.
Thinking about Jordan Peterson. I didn't understand. Could you explain it again?
Again, we're saying that in order to give birth, you need to have your thighs become cold,
Right.
by the blood rushing out from there and pushing out through the diaphragm the child. We're learning that a baby, a child, is a physical manifestation of its spiritual parallel. What is a child called spiritually? It's called Das. All of the Kitvei Ari, all the teachings of the Arizal is based on this paradigm. That to be able to know God, you have to go through a process of birth. He even uses the language of 3 levels of giving birth to new Das that comes from what's originally called pregnancy. You're mumbling something. Ibor, right? Ibor. And then there is the stage of, so that's gestation. And then you have the stage of nursing, the first couple of years. And then there's what's called, you've come to Gadlut, right? It's developed, it's grown, it's become a mature reality. And you have to go through these 3 stages anytime that you get a higher revelation of God. Now again, why is that important? Why is it related? Because birth is painful. Meaning that you need to know that this process of getting closer and closer to Hashem, there's going to be pain involved in that, right? Because why? Because just like when you give birth, it's painful. And why is it painful? Because Hashem said to Adam and Chava, you could be as close to me as imaginable if you listen to what I'm telling you. And they didn't. And then Hashem said, from now on, birth is going to be painful. Which didn't just mean physical female childbirth. It means now for anybody to ever have a chiddush, to ever have a new understanding of me, to ever come closer to me, the only way to give birth now is through birth pangs.
Is it better that way? Like, before they did that, then we were just able to like come up with chidushim, the same level of chidushim, but easy?
Yeah.
Or like,
That was the idea, is that if you listen to Hashem, then you would be able to bypass the challenges that come with getting to know Him, and you would be able to do it simply through the listening, meaning the difficulty would come through the listening, which obviously was difficult, which is why they weren't able to do it at that time. And so too for us now, it's hard for us, even though
now it's really hard.
Right, but now it's really, really hard, right? And it's painful, and even if you do it, meaning you do listen,
right.
but it's still painful. Whereas then, if you would have listened, there would be none, okay? So too, when a person gives of his money to a Talmid Chacham, what is he doing? The hope and the goal is, by supporting this Talmid Chacham, he now is going to have Yishuv Dat, peace of mind to learn, because he's not going to have to go make Parnasa of his own. And then as a result of that Yishuv Dat, and he's a real Talmid Chacham, he's going to use all of that time he now has to cogitate and meditate on Torah, and to make Torah Navale. Now, why is Torah Navale so important? Because that allows us to get closer and closer to Hashem. If Rabbi Nachman had to spend all of his time making money and supporting himself, he never would have came out with Likutey Moharan. Chas v'chalila. What the world would be like if that was the case, right? So this is what we're learning. The Zohar, in fact, speaks about how Tomchei Torah, it's a big thing in the Zohar, they speak a lot about it, supporters of Torah. They explain that they're like Netzach and Hod in the Sfirot, which are the thighs or the legs, right? That as a result of their parnasa, their money that they give over to Talmidei Chachamim, they cause Shefa to be drawn down through all the 10 Sfirot down to this world. Meaning that all blessing actually comes through the person who has money giving it to the Talmid Chacham to then learn and come up with new, novel understandings in Torah. And in fact, the Zohar says that the final galut before Mashiach comes, what's the galut? Why is it going to be so intense? Because people who have will not be giving the Talmidei Chachamim. And as a result of that, they won't be able to have Yishuv Da'at when they learn. And because they won't have Yishuv Da'at when they learn, they're not going to be able to actually give the people of the generation the Da'as that they need to be able to get through and move to this next phase of existence that we're all waiting for. So, from this Zohar, you actually see the Geula depends on the Tomchei Torah, which is a tremendous chizuk for any working person to know that you're not in a bidiyavad situation. You're in latchila all the way. And in fact, Rabbi Nachman takes it to another level, and he says that any tzedakah that a Jew gives to a Talmid Chacham who's learning, he says you're not just producing learning because you don't have the zchut of learning. He says that tzedakah is Talmud Torah. The tzedakah that you gave him is mamish the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. You got Talmud Torah. Same Talmud Torah that person has when he learns by giving the tzedakah. Okay?
I have, a lot of people who like learning halakha are not necessarily the biggest Breslovers. But as long as they're not tzaddik, it's good enough.
What are you trying to say?
You go find yourself. He means halakha. He means halakha kipshuta. Shulchan Aruch, chidushim. The whole
Yes.
thing. You go find yourself an avrech who really loves hilchot, whatever. He loves delving into Chazon Ish, but you ask him about some Yishem some Likutey and he goes, I don't know about that.
Right. So
and you find a lot of Breslovers, they don't really learn halakha so well. They might know how to go rest the Shulchan Aruch.
So obviously the point of this class is to call out everyone who's not doing it the right way. So that's what we're going to do right now. You guys ready? No, I'm just kidding. You have to be like Chas v'Chalila, Muhammad Gandhi said, whatever his name is. You have to be the change that you want to see in the world. Rav Natan used to ask Rav Nachman, well, what about this person? They're not doing it this way that you said, and this person's not doing it the way you said. He told Rav Natan, listen to me, Nasala. There's one truth, and the only thing you have to focus on is moving closer to it.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go find my 500 checks. I'm gonna go give it to some nice guy.
Good.
Avrech.
Yofi.
Great. Okay, just go find some random lit picture guy and it's like.
Listen, first of all, I'm right in front of you.
Yeah, but you're not learning halakha. How's your chidushim?
I have to get there. How am I going to get there? Someone has to support me so I don't have to worry about making money so I can get to the point that I'm doing it. Listen, Rav Avadi Yosef, when he was it Rav Avadi Yosef? Yeah, it was Rav Avadi, I think. It was Rabbi Nachman's yahrzeit, and he went to go speak in front of a group of Breslovers. I heard the story. And the Breslovers were wondering why Rav Avadia is teaching us on Rav Nachman's yahrzeit. He's not a Breslover, So Rav Avadia got up and he said, first thing that I want you guys to know is I'm a Breslover. And they're all looking at him like he's like totally confused, and he said, I'll tell you how I know I'm a Breslov. Because Rabbi Nachman said the most important thing is to learn halakha and to follow the Shulchan Aruch, and that's exactly what I do.
Nice.
What are you going to say to that?
Yeah, can't say that.
No, but I think no one was asking about someone that doesn't do it for the sake of being.
I understand that. I understand that. So right. So what I'm alluding to is that anybody who knows Rabbi Nachman's teachings, who's also a Talmid Chacham, understands that there's a very deep connection between Halakha and Rabbi Nachman, and it's not this far apart thing. For a person who doesn't know, they don't know, right? There are plenty of Breslover Hasidim that are learning in Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz, and are well aware of the importance of halakha and the teachings of Rabbi Nachman. In fact, my Rabbi Rav Walken, Alav Shalom, who was a very chashuv and proud Litvak, came from a family of Rabbanim. He was a posek. His grandfather was a very famous posek. And when he saw how obsessed I was with Breslov, he took me to the side and he had a conversation with me, and he was concerned. And he wasn't concerned about because of Breslov, Because he told me, he goes, listen, David, a lot of people don't know this, you may not know this either, but I know Rabbi Nachman's teachings. I used to have a chavruta, we went through all of Likutey Moharan, and I have the utmost respect for Rabbi Nachman and for Breslov Hasidim. And he said, I'll tell you something even more than that. The biggest Talmidei Chachamim that are alive today are Breslov Hasidim. He told me the two biggest ones that are well known and established. I don't know, he didn't tell me who they were, but he said that these are known within the circles of the great Chachamim, and he said they're both Breslov Hasidim. So you can find it. If you really want to look for it, you'll find it. Okay? So that's that. Now, Aval achar kach ayedei mamonam shemachazikim a Talmid Chacham. Through their money, they strengthen the Talmid Chacham. V'nolad halachot. And then the Talmid Chacham is able to give birth to halachot. Shem bechinat chesed. That's the concept of kindness, like we learned. Why? Why is kindness halacha? One, very simple, pash pshat. You know what to do. What greater kindness is it than to know what to do, right? Every mitzvah is giving you schar. Every mitzvah, like the word comes from the word tzaveh, which means to connect you. Every mitzvah is connecting you to Hashem. Every avera is distancing you or making some type of partition between you. So what's a greater kindness than to know what are the mitzvahs? How do you keep the mitzvahs? Okay, so that's one. But then what we learned before is that why is such a great kindness? Because the greatest kindnesses in the world is to allow a person to have shimush, to be able to serve something which is greater than him. Because then you can actually embody that person. Just like Rav Natan, why was he able to so embody the teachings of the Rebbe? Because Rabbi Nachman allowed him to mashamash him. He encouraged him to mashamash him. He encouraged all of us to mashamash him. And it wasn't because he was an egomaniac. It's because he knew that the greatest kindness you can do for a Jew is to allow him to mashamash a Talmid Chacham, to mashamash a tzaddik. Okay? To toil for a tzaddik. And then, through this whole process, the shefa which comes as a result of the halakha that the Talmid Chacham gives birth to, it returns and fills the lacking of the person who gave the money to him. Meaning that when he gives him the money, it's really temporary. He's going to get it all back. Rav Natan actually brings down that all of these ideas are interconnected, which means if you make progress in any of them, you automatically make progress in the others. And the example that he gives is, let's say you give money to a Talmid Chacham. Okay? So he says, automatically, you're putting your sons, your birth child, in a position that he is going to be more likely to spend time thanking Hashem. Meaning the concept of Todah and birth and halacha and giving tzedakah to a Talmid Chacham, it's all one thing. So if you do any of them, you automatically move yourself and those around you closer to the others. Does that make sense? You're saying yes, you sure? Kind of? If I say thank you to Hashem, I'm closer to being in a position to have money to be able to support Talmidei Chachamim, to give halacha. If I myself learn halacha, right, then I'm giving those around me a better chance, a better capacity to be able to make more money so they can support the learning of halacha. Or, like the example that Rav Natan gives, that by supporting Talmidei Chachamim, you allow your children, who are your birth child, right, that he is now going to have a special schut, that he will enjoy saying thank you to Hashem and being close to him. So all these ideas are interconnected.
In sort of like the Pilates world, and the, when you walk with when you don't walk with good posture, so what are you doing? You're messing up your posture. You think, okay, so my back's not so good. What you're actually doing is you're basically making your, let's say, your knees or your legs to overcompensate for your bad back. So so now all of a sudden they're doing way more work than they need to. They're gonna get knee problems,
right,
or something like that.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you choose to have good posture and now walk with like a full kama, and all of a sudden it takes off of pressure of that. So the entire system is because now by straightening your back, your knees are getting better. So it's all interconnected.
There's a great example And in fact, this next part that we're going to do right now is going to even machazik everything that you just said. Okay? And this is the pleasure of the world to come. My favorite pasukim. Then the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. Which means what? That all of our lackings, all of these parts within us that are not whole, they're going to be full. If you lack wealth, you're going to be wealthy. If you lack health, you're going to be healthy. And the list goes on and on. This is really the sod of the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. All these open, empty receptacles which are lacking are going to be filled with the light of God. Okay? And this is in the future. Ki alavana tiva kar, because Rabbi Nachman says the nature, the teva of the moon is to be cold. Bechinat chesron ukrirut. And coldness is the concept of a lacking. It's a coolness because it's lacking. That's why it's the nature of the moon to be cold. It doesn't have a light of its own. V'atida idmalot ka'or chama. But in the future, it's going to be filled like the light of the sun. Bechinat miluya chesron, meaning the concept of the filling of that which is lacking. Shezeh bechinat holada, that this is the concept of birth. What is birth? Something is lacking in the world, and now a Jewish soul is being brought into this world to fill that lacking. Bechinat halachot, the concept of halachot. Shem bechinat shashum olba, this is the pleasure of the world to come. Zeh bechinat elet adot hashamayim va'aretz bibaram. The pasuk is speaking about the creation of heaven and earth in their being created. Now it already said that Hashem created heaven and earth, and now it's using like a backwards language to explain it. So, like Rashi would say, it's begging, expound me, right? And there's a very famous midrash on this. It says if you look at the word Bihi Baram, you flip the letters, it spells Be'avraham. And they learn out from this that the whole world was created B'schut Avraham Avinu, the first Jew. And maybe this is the sod of how we understand that Hashem created the whole world just for you. Because every Jew is Abraham, right? So he created heaven and earth just for you. Can you imagine if you believe that? Can you imagine how happy you'd be? Maybe you'd be as happy as Rabbi Nachman wants you to be. If you knew that Hashem created the heavens and the earth just for you. Just for you. But Rabbi Nachman says it's not just b'schut Avraham and the merit of Avraham, but rather it's chesed that gives birth to heaven and earth. It's kindness that actually gives birth to these things. It's the power of Avraham that gives birth to children. Ki holada al yedei bechinat halachot, because birth is through the concept of halachot, that they are the concept of chesed, like we just said. Ze bechinat mizmor todah hariu laHashem kol haaretz. This pasuk from Tilim, Perek Kuf, we say this every day after Baruch She'amar. Mizmor Todah, thank you to Hashem. It's a mizmor of thank you. Hariu Hashem kol haaretz, that the whole world should be in a state of ecstasy with Hashem. Mizmor Todah. So again, Rabbi Nachman's making this connection. You see that what is the beauty of Todah? Todah is the greatest simcha. Now Rabbi Nachman says, L'todah otia tolada. L'todah, Mizmor L'todah, is the same exact letters as Tolada, which is birth, a child. So you see from here that L'todah and Tolada is one thing. To say thank you is to give birth. Hariu Hashem kol haaretz. The Arizal brings Roshei Tevot Halacha. So we see in this one pasuk all of the connections which Rabbi Nachman brought. Mizmor L'todah, thank you to Hashem. Hariu kol haaretz, which is simcha, it's the joy of the world to come. This is speaking about the days of Mashiach, literally exactly what we're talking about. So we already see a connection between thank you and this joy of the world to come. Then we have that L'todah is the same as Tolada, which is birth. And then we have Hariu kol haaretz is Roshei Tevot Halacha. Rabbi Nachman takes all of it.
All four right there.
All four right there in one pasuk. Ki halachot bechinat todah, hem bechinat holada. V'zeh she'amar Rabbeinu zichronan l'racha. And this is what it says in Masechet Sota, Daf Yud. Asa chala et raglav. Asa was the grandson of Shlomo Melech. He was a king from the house of David. And Asa got sick in his feet. Al shasa angaria b'talmidei chachamim. So the Gemara speaks over there about 5 very prominent figures in Jewish history that had a special physical capacity, like they were known for this. In this case, Asa, Shlomo Melech's grandson, was an unbelievably fast runner. He was known for this. Like people knew this guy is like that guy that won the Olympics. Like what was his name? Usain Bolt. He was like that. He was unbelievably fast. He happens to also be a Jew and a king. Okay? What happened though? The Gemara says that Hashem struck his legs. He became sick with a leg ailment. Now, what was the reason the Gemara gave? Because the Pasuk said that Asa brought all of the tribe of Yehuda into action, meaning into the military. He forced all of the Jews to serve in the tzava. Now, why is that a problem? Because that includes those who were learning halakha. And as a result of that, not only was he not contributing to the learning of Torah, he actually caused it to stop. Now, Rabbi Nachman is saying we can understand this perfectly. Why? Because Ayadei Shasa Angaria Talmidei Chachamim, through his causing these Talmidei Chachamim to all come into action, Uvitel Tamin Halachot, he nullified them from Halachot. Ayadei Zeh Chala at Raglav, through this, his legs got sick. Ki halachot hem b'china tikun v'kiyum haraglin. Why? Because halachot, they are the concept of the tikun and the establishment of the legs. Ki halachot hem b'china tahuluchot adamim. Because what's halacha? Hala means to walk. It's the concept of the coursing of blood through the body, through the legs. Shechozru nochin kaseder, that it goes according to seder. And Asa, that as the king of Israel, he had the greatest capacity, just like great Jewish kings in the past, to actually cause the learning of Torah more than anybody else in the entire generation. He could literally, more than give money, he can cause all the Jewish people to be righteous and learn Torah as being the king. And instead, he caused them to cease from doing that and to serve in the tzava instead. And because of that, where he failed in his role as the Tomchei Doraita, he had the capacity, just like a person in our generation who has any type of physical means whatsoever, he could have used those means to support the Torah, and instead he caused it to be mevatled. And as a result of that, his thighs are now blemished, and he can't run. And therefore his legs became sick. Okay. Bezrat Hashem, next week we will continue and we are going to learn about truth. And we're going to learn about perfected speech and how everything that we've learned so far is so that we can merit prayer. We can merit speech, which is rooted in truth, that's answered. Bezrat Hashem.
Okay.
Now, B'schut Rav Natan, I would like to do 2 things. I want to read you a piece in Likutey Halachot that I read recently, which was tremendous hitchaskut for me, and I would like to read it over to you guys. V'chazor inyan birkat hamazon. He's speaking here about birkat hamazon. Bezrat Hashem, we're going to say birkat hamazon after this. Hopefully we can have a zimun. Bezrat Hashem, b'schut tzaddik. Here's the klal. Here is the rule. The ikar of mitzvat birkat hamazon, who is to reveal and to draw the holiness of the land of Israel. That's why the pasuk says, "V'achalta v'savata uverachta et Hashem Elokecha al haaretz hatova." That you should eat and you should be satiated and you should bless Hashem on this good land. He's saying, mamish, only on this land. In this place, you could actually eat and be satiated, enjoy, and bless and say thank you. Why? Because the ikar of the holiness of the land of Israel is drawn through the revelation of the pride that Hashem takes in you. And this is revealed specifically at the table. This is the concept of the kos, the cup that we use to say Birkat HaMazon. Sephardim still do this, Ashkenazim are not as makbid, but in the Shulchan Aruch it does say, the Gemara says, that Lahatchila, you'll have a kos, when you have a zimun, you're going to say Birkat HaMazon on the kos, and then drink it at the end. Okay, good. Zebechina Birkat HaMazon. Why? There's Shalosha Omri, Nevarech Shachanu Mishalo, because the three, when they make the zimun, they say, let us bless that we're eating from Hashem. Kodem Birkat HaMazon, before Birkat HaMazon. Zehu Birkat HaMazon. Meaning, before Birkat HaMazon, we need to prepare ourselves to say thank you. What's this concept of we need to prepare ourselves? Ve'inyan ki ikar kedushat ish Yisrael. This is what Rav Natan says. Unbelievable. When you think of holiness, you think of sitting alone in a mountain, aesthetic, not eating, not drinking, right? We all have our own ideas of what Kedusha is. What does Rav Natan say Kedusha is? Rav Natan should know. Let's hear what he says. The essence of the holiness of a Jew, the Iker Avodato, and the essence of all of his service to Hashem, Hu Rak Haratzon, only your will, the Kesufin the Kedusha, and your holy desires. Like Rabbeinu Zal teaches in the Likutey Torah Lamed Aleph. Like he says, Shalavodot Hashem, Ein mi shipa'er bazeh shuchal lavod yiparach. To serve Hashem, there isn't who that he can take pride in this, that he's able to serve Hashem. A person can come and say, look at what a level I got to. Look at how great I am in serving Hashem. Look at how learned I am. Look at how much success I have in the area of tzedakah, in the area of tikkun brit. Nobody can say these things, Rabbi Nachman says. Vafilu malach, even an angel. Vafilu saraf eino yachol, even an angel who's perfect and never made a mistake. He cannot boast about his own service. Why? Because the ikr is ratzon. The ikr is kisufin. The ikr is holy desires. Sh'tzarich litgaber sheyeh lo tamid ratzonot chazakim v'kisufim gedolim lavodat Hashem yiparach. That a person needs to strengthen himself always with strong desire and great yearning to serve Hashem yiparach. Like I spoke to a friend recently, and I'm not going to obviously say who the friend is, but he's saying, he's struggling with ruminations of the mind. He works in a workplace, it's all women, he's the only man there, he's trying as hard as possible, obviously not to think about anything that's not kosher, but Lamaisa, he says, I'm really struggling. And it's making him feel like all of his kashrut to the tzaddik and all of his avoda, it's like, what is this? Is it like, I'm fooling myself, it's like nothing. And I feel like I'm not making any progress, and like, I don't know what's going on. I said, first of all, you should judge yourself favorably. I'm pretty sure most men who work only with women would struggle with the same thing. In fact, Rabbi Nachman never saw women. It's probably why he succeeded so much in Tikkun Brit, right? There's a reason for that. On top of that, I explained to him that I think that your definition of success is a little skewed. And I think that the real way that you can evaluate how am I doing should not be about what is the level of purity of my thoughts, but rather, what do I want? And what am I trying to do? That's it. You want to know, are you succeeding in serving Hashem? Just ask myself, do I want this? Do I want what's good? If I want what's good and I'm trying to do it, regardless of the result, you're mamish matzliach. And that's what Rav Natan's teaching. The holiness of a Jew begins and ends in his ratzon. It's the only thing you have free will of, what you want. That's it. How everything goes after that, please, dear God, help us. But you're only in control of one thing. It's what you want. The yeter mizeh, and even more than this, I heard from his mouth, meaning speaking about Rabbeinu, ba'atzmo, about himself, migodel ma'alat haratzon, the great mila, the great level of ratzon, of holiness, that it is the essence of serving Hashem. And all avoda, Torah, tefillah, mitzvot, masim tovim, they're all encompassed in this. And it's impossible to merit anything in holiness except through this. Through ratzon, through cheshek, through hishtokakut, v'kisufim, v'gaguim chazakim. It's all through tremendous yearnings, desires, wants, will, ratzon. That's it. That's how you get everything. But lo yarpeh et ratzon b'shum ofen, and not to weaken or slacken in your desire for any reason whatsoever. Rak kol ma shemaniya mitgaberet beyoter yira ligbor et atzmo becheshek v'kasufim v'gaguim ratzonot chazakim beyoter v'yoter. Only that all what that you see, that you have a mania, that you have obstacles to whatever it is that you're trying to do, that when you see them coming, that you need to respond in kind. The greater are those obstacles, the more you need to intensify one thing, your will, your desire, your yearnings. That's what you do. How do I combat the Yetzer Hara? That I'm struggling now in ways that I haven't in years, that I'm dealing with things that I haven't possibly imagined I could be. There's one response. However much you want it so far, increase it. Increase your yearning, increase your want, increase your desire, because you know what? Rabbi Nachman guaranteed us, he promised us. He said, as a matter of fact, when you want something as great as that thing is, you'll have it immediately. It's an amazing thing. That means that if I want something in Kedusha, in Avodat Hashem, in closeness to Hashem, I don't need to do anything except for want that thing as great as it is. So when I see that I'm struggling, and I see that things are overcoming me, and I find that mom is drowning in an ocean and wallowing, I'm struggling, and all these negative thoughts and negative emotions and bad feelings about myself, there's only one thing to do then. There's only one thing you need to do then. You need to increase your yearning for the thing that you want. Do not take it as a sign that you're failing. Don't take it as a sign that what you want is not good and not worthy. It's merely a sign to you that what you want is greater than you think it is. And therefore, you need to increase your will for that thing. And thus, afterwards, in the rest of Avodat Hashem, and Devarim, and matters that are in holiness, that you desire afterwards to do, Yitbarach gam ken b'ratzonot chazakim. You need to do the same thing. And all what that you have these obstacles and all of these ikuvim, these things that are withholding you, these bibulim, these confusions of the mind, midgabim yoter, that they're strengthening more, yitgaber et atzmo, you need to strengthen yourself, b'ratzonot chazakim yoter, with stronger will. Ad sheyotzi mikol hapa'al, until you take from the realm of potentiality and you bring it into actuality, because to go from potential to actual begins and ends with your will. V'yizke gam la'ota mitzvah avodah v'chen la'olam, and he merits to the mitzvah and the avodah, and thus forevermore. Come over by Torah, like it says in the Torah, v'hi na pishnayim. This is Siman Samich Vav, the one that we just referenced about will, and how when your will is as great as the thing, you get it. Shemania rak bishvil acheshek, that Rabbi Nachman said, obstacle is only for the sake of increased cheshek, meaning the only reason Hashem is making it difficult for me is because what I want is greater than what I think it is, and so I need to want it more so that I can actually get it. What's going to cause me to want it more? It's to be withheld from it. So you should get excited when you see that it's not coming when you want it.
And then what do you do with that rotzon though? Like, okay, so I asked Hashem for more rotzon, and He gave it to me. Now I feel like I'm going to explode. And I still don't have the thing. That's gonna, I forgot the words, but that's gonna end up in me davening more for more rotzon or for something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, what do I do with that rotzon? Just keep trying to stack up rotzon. That should be my only goal.
Yeah.
Like,
Me the dark.
let's say I want to be closer to Hashem, right? So if the only thing important is Ratzon, so it doesn't mean I should try to like dive into Hashem, that I should, I don't know, have Hashkach. Like, I don't know how to, maybe I'm not really asking anything. You're saying that the only thing
Again, let's say for instance you want to be close to Hashem, and you know that part of being close to Hashem means being able to sit and have hasmodas and learning Torah.
Okay.
Let's say.
Okay.
So I don't want to learn Torah like that though.
Like what?
Let's say I don't want to learn Torah like
Oh,
that.
if you don't have the Ratzon.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I don't want to learn Torah. I don't want to sit down and bucket for 3 hours. I don't want to do that. I want to like sit and learn what I enjoy, and I don't want to do that the whole day. And okay, that's fine. That's okay. But if this is a real avenue, it's one of the main avenues to getting closer to Hashem, how do I ever get to the point that I actually do that? And the answer is one thing. I don't need hatzlacha in learning to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to want to do that more.
So what I'm trying to figure out is that Ratzon supposed to end up
In translation into action?
Yeah, and
Yes.
that brings you closer to Hashem, or it's the Ratzon itself that brings you closer to Hashem? You see what I'm saying?
It's the ratzon, whether it ends up turning into the thing or not.
Mm-hmm.
But the only way to turn it into the thing is through ratzon.
So should I daven for the Ratzon or for the thing? I
You
don't know
should
if there's
daven for the thing, and you should know that the only way to get there is through the ratzon for the thing. And therefore, to yearn for the ratzon.
Okay, so for instance, like I instead of davening to Hashem, please give me the Ratzon to connect to you, maybe like a super tefillah would be Hashem, please give me the Ratzon to get married, so that I can have more Ratzon to get to you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Or?
Yeah, if you know that Hashem gave us certain ways, that He told us that these are the avenues that are going to help bring me closer to you, whether it's getting married, whether it's learning, whether it's supporting Torah, whatever those different means are. So Hashem, please help me to want this as bad as you want to give it to me.
So why don't I just daven for the Ratzon to be closer?
Go ahead.
And you're saying either or, whatever floats
Give
your
me
boat.
the. Should help me sit down and learn, and I don't want to learn that much. So also, why you gotta give me the Ratzon to learn too. This
Okay.
guy's another one.
Why don't you just ask to be close to Hashem?
Okay,
Why
so,
even asking for the Ratzon?
okay, so the answer is I want to be close to you. How bad do I want to be close to you? If I want to be close to you, and I know, let's say, that learning is one of the main ways I get closer to you, but I don't want to
Every time
learn.
I sit down and learn Shulchan Aruch, I seem to, pass out after 5
Yeah.
minutes. Give me the koach, Hashem, to actually be interested enough in learning Shulchan Aruch for more than 10 minutes.
Why? Because you want to get closer to Hashem?
Yeah, and Rabbi Nachman says
Why don't
that's
you
what
just ask Hashem for the Ratzon to be closer to Him?
that's good.
He seemed to suggest that.
Rabbi Nach, but Rabbi,
that's the
and
way-
then
So
Rabbi,
more specific is better, not worse, you're saying?
more specific is better. Of course, more specific is better.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out.
The ikr is the masa. The ikr is the
The
masa.
ikr is the masa, but Rabbi Nachman is telling us that he didn't do all these things that he did because he was the lineage of the Baal Shem Tov. He did all of these things because he wanted it better than anybody else. And Rav Natan became what he became, not because he was the most brilliant and not because he was the most handsome, but because he wanted it more than anybody else. Everything about being a Breslover is about want. Uman Rosh Hashanah, yes, you're going to have financial issues. Yes, your wife isn't going to want you to go. Yes.
But don't we step back in the ratzon? You want the masa, want the uman.
But know
But know that
when you want to go to Uman enough, you'll be there.
So maybe
So
that's
what about, in terms of a method of achieving your will and your ratzon, is visualizing a good method of doing that?
Okay.
That's the
Or not.
Kalmus, bro.
As in, like, if you want to go to Uman, visualize like yourself going to
Rabbi
Uman.
Jordan.
Yeah, it's Jordan.
You could, but guys,
Peter's
you got him enough on the Jordan Peterson thing. The Rabbeinu doesn't speak so much about visualization, although there are Hasidic works that do speak about the greatness of and the power of visualizing, and even there are modern day rabbis who mamish, this is their whole thing, that they talk about the hatzlacha of everything that you want to do depends on you really sitting down and visualizing what it is that you want. Rabbi Nachman's main thing was speak about all of those things. Your words are the kelim, your words are the vessels. Whatever it is that you want, if you want it to happen, turn your want into a prayer.
Don't visualize, don't verbalize.
Yeah, verbalize.
But do you verbally visualize or
Verbally
That's what it
visualize.
is.
Show me
That's
that.
what
Show
it
me what that
is.
looks like.
speaking out what you want?
You're welcome to imagine,
That's what I'm
as you're
saying.
doing your hisvodas,
So what are you supposed to verbalize?
you're welcome to think about it, you're imagine it too.
See if as a man you could do two things at one time. No, wait. So you're wait. Where you're at? You're asking to verbally visualize or visually verbalize?
Hashem destroys the Arab.
Yeah, the goal is to verbalize.
You obviously.
How do you know what to verbalize?
Yeah, you got to think about it.
So how do you? What's the process of thinking about it?
Rabbi Nachman says, "Go alone where you have no stimulus and no distraction. Attain yeshuv da'at, and then start thinking from that place, and then pray."
You think that might be like today? Me and my friends were talking about when Rabbeinu said that we could all be just like him. You know, he says mamash, but it doesn't mean my name's going to be Nachman. Probably, maybe he meant that. When we drove past
It depends which sect of Breslov you're into.
I saw on the back of my Likutey Moharan it says Louis Nishmas Chaim Nanach Rubenstein. That's the guy's name. No, but maybe it means like this. Like, it's already too late for me to have learned what Rabbeinu even has in Sefer Midos at the age of 6, right, or whatever. So maybe it means the Ratzon. Like,
Beautiful, I love it.
on the outside,
You could be
it looks-
just like me, mamish, meaning just like how I got great, you could become great just like me.
yeah, same
the
success. Even same
exact
degree.
Same exact way. Exactly,
Oh.
same degree, because everything is relative to you.
Right.
Everything is relative to you. Beautiful. I love that. So now here, this is the part I wanted to get to from this. V'zeh ikar hitparu. This pride that Hashem Yibarach, and this whole thing so far, Rav Natan has been speaking like for pages and pages about the pride that Hashem takes in you. How Hashem takes so much pride in you. And now he's just, he's elaborating on what it is exactly that he's taking pride in. Right? Because so far we think it's when I do good things, Hashem takes pride in me, and when I don't, he doesn't. Rav Natan is going to say like an unbelievable chiddush about what is the actual thing he's taking pride in. So this is what he says. This is the essence of the pride that Hashem takes in every single Jew. The essence of that pride is from the azut and the akshanut shelahem. The essence of the pride that Hashem takes with you is how stubborn you are. That you don't give up. That's it. Not was I matzliach in tikkun brit, not was I matzliach in learning Torah, not was I matzliach in doing this or doing that or doing anything. Not that I'm succeeding and that I'm thriving. That's not the pride that Hashem takes in you. Hashem takes pride in you that you never gave up. Amazing thing. And it's through this is the essence of how we receive the Torah. That which is the encompassment of Hashem's pride. Because in Kabbalah, pride, Pa'er, is the root of Tiferet. Tiferet is Torah. So he's saying, how did we get the Torah? The Gemara says that the only people who stood at Har Sinai were those who were stiff-necked, which in this case is the positive aspect of being stiff-necked as a Jew, not to be stubborn in terms of ego, but to be stubborn for holiness. Those are the only people who received the Torah. And this is what Rabbi Nachman says. The only way you receive the Torah, meaning you get close to Hashem, is through absolute stubbornness. And Rabbi Nachman said that there are going to be times in a Jew's life, maybe quite often, that he has lost all his faculties. He has no koach at all. He has nothing on which to rely and what to lean on. His mental powers are weak. His physical strength is schwer. And the only thing he has, mamish, is absolute stubbornness. That's all he's got left. And he says he's going to need to use it. Only through that he's going to get to Kedusha. And the main stubbornness, Rav Natan says, is in the Ratzon. That's where you need to be stubborn. That a person needs to desire to enter into service of Hashem.
I'm really stubborn about not like letting up my I'm not gonna give up. Like, I'm not gonna let myself get up.
I'm not gonna give up, no matter what.
Stubborn against myself.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I need to be like, I'm saying to Hashem, I don't care what you do to me, I don't care what obstacles come my way, I don't care, nothing. And I don't know where I'm gonna end up from all of this. But one thing for sure that I can control, and I'm gonna control, is I am not gonna give up on you. And you do with me whatever you need to do with me, but I'm gonna keep running after you. And I hope, Bezrat Hashem, you're gonna run after me too. Leval Yazov v'lo yarpeh et haratzon mishum maniya ba'olam. Just do not let up and do not weaken your ratzon for any obstacle in the world. V'zeh ikar akshanut dekedusha. This is the essence of holy stubbornness. V'zeh ikar parut yibarach ma shehu yibarach mipa'er ba'avodat Yisrael. This is the essential pride that Hashem takes in a Jew's service. Keep emet ve'ikar parut, because the truth of the essence of this pride, hu rak ma Hashem yibarach mipa'er ima ratzon. It's only with what you want.
Maybe that's why the gula is taking so long. You know, it's like
Whoa.
Hashem's like the Malachim, like you know, you Jewish people are not so great. It's like, look, I'll make them go through 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 years ago. Those. It's like, here, a little longer, we'll see that they're still excited.
That's right.
Maybe something like that.
Yeah. It's the only way to know how much you want something is to really be challenged, to really to have a difficulty in it, and if you learn Rabbi Nachman's teachings in a weird sadomasochistic way, you can actually get excited when the thing that you want is not being given to you, and you're struggling to obtain it, because you believe in the Rebbe and you believe in his teaching so much that you realize it. If Hashem made this a mitzvah, He wants me to do this, and I want this, and it's not happening, it has to be because He really wants to give it to me, and I need to want it as bad as He wanted to give it to
You still
me.
gotta be Amiti about it. You still gotta want to actually wake
Yeah,
up for Shabbos
yeah.
or whatever it is the thing.
Yeah.
Can't like me stepping on just Ratzon. But
If it's real Ratzon, you're gonna do it. That's what Rabbi Nachman's saying. If it's real Ratzon, you're gonna do it.
For you also.
That's the whole point. Like when Rav Natan asked Rabbi Nachman, can you explain free will? You know, there's so many books written about it. So many great tzaddikim have explored and made discourses. And if you go into like modern Baal Tshuva yeshiva, they're going to be busy with how does free will work? And how does it work with divine providence? And how is this not a dichotomy? You know, And Rabbi Nachman said in his great, unbelievable wisdom, this is how free works, Nelson. Listen very clearly to me. You do what you want to do. What you want to do. And I'm going to... Listen. You do what you want to do. And you don't do what you don't want to do. And that's how free will works. Now, at first, it just sounds like he's saying very beautifully and very simply, free will means whatever it is that you want to do, that's what you do. And if you don't end up at the person's wedding who invited you, it's because you don't really want to be there. And okay, emet, it's true. All right? But I think what Rabbi Nachman is saying is deeper than that. I think he's saying that if you're not doing something that you want to do, it's because you don't want it as great as the thing is. And he's saying you do what you want to do. Meaning when your want is as great as the thing, you'll do it. You do what you want to do. And you don't do what you don't want to do. So if you think that you want it and it's not happening, you don't want it.
But don't give up.
But don't give up.
Because it's like...
But don't give up. But don't give up. This is the message of Rabbeinu, and this is the message of Rav Natan.
I'm learning a lot. I'm just going off topic, but I'm learning a lot of Rambam. I know, I'm sorry, mid thing.
Yeah. It's good, as long as this Rambam conversation isn't like that Rambam conversation.
There's a lot of, like, there's like a learning Hilchas Yom Tov or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And there's so many random halachas that just like have nothing to do with like actual life. It's like, okay, there's something to do with 2,000 years ago.
Right.
You know,
That's the
dealing
whole
with.
point of the
It's like-
Rambam, is that he writes on all the Gemara, he
Oh,
writes on
of course.
everything, the basic.
And I'm trying to get myself read up. Like, I'm gonna read it, and like, and in Shemaim, when I get there, they'll reveal to me the secrets of it. B'ezrat Hashem.
Visit the show.
But, you know, but I find it hard to relate to, hard to like put my brain in it, and force myself to read through it.
Well, I'd say a few things. One is, I would look at it as a service of love. this is my service of love to Hashem, and this is my service of love to my Rebbe. That he wanted me more than anything to learn halakha, and I don't know why, because so much of it doesn't pertain to me. And he knows more than me, and I really believe that. So I'm going to do this. So it's a labor of love. Just like when you're married. That's one thing. Another thing...
It doesn't even matter if it's practical.
Doesn't make a difference. I'm a chassid right now. When I'm coming to learn, I'm a chassid. That's the pride you need to take in yourself. Not what... That's it. I'm a chassid. What? What's that? Another thing is that
I don't want to get divorced from Hashem. So I'm going to keep drinking coffee.
Rabbi Nachman told Rav Natan, I want you to start learning the Kiferi. And Rav Natan's like, I don't know, I don't think I'm ready for that. He said, you are. Just make sure you learn halakha in parallel to that. Why? Because Rabbi Nachman explains in Likutey that it's through the learning of halakha that you actually come to true thoughts in Kabbalah. So a motivation for yourself is that by learning these non-relative halachot, I'm causing it that when I do learn Chassidus and I do learn Kabbalah, you're sharpening your mind and you're making it a vessel so that the chidushim, the novelties that you're getting in Kabbalah and the Chassidus is going to be real.
Nice.
And that's why when Rabbi Nachman finally told Rav Natan, I want you to start writing, he said, but I don't want you to start writing until you've learned all of Shulchan Aruch.
Wow.
Because he wanted to make sure that what he was writing was true. How does that all work? I have no idea. It's above my pay grade, but it works. Okay? This is the essential pride. Because your service Hashem doesn't really care about. It's not precious to him. Because everything's from Hashem anyway. Why would Hashem take pride in that which is already from him? Like the pasuk says in Eov, who preceded me, and I am like recompensing for it. And the midrash over there is explaining that you're doing, you're celebrating the fact that you have a new home, and you're inviting people to celebrate your new home, and you're putting up the mezuzah. Well, who gave you the house?
Hashem.
I did. And this is with every mitzvah, right? You did Brit Milah, that's great. Who gave you a son? And what is Hashem trying to say? That I am really not just the cause of the blessing, I'm actually giving you the mitzvah. You're doing the mitzvah, that's great, but the mitzvah's from me. So then what is it that we're doing? What is Hashem enjoying from us then? Because I thought he's getting nachat from me. The answer is, yes, he's getting nachat from what you want. He's getting nachat from your stubbornness. And it is impossible for us to do anything in holiness, and not to be saved from any avera, only from the Yeshua of Hashem. That's it. Like it says in Masechet Sukkah Nun Bet, B'chol Yom, every single day, Yitzro Shel Adam, the Yetzer Hara of a person, Mitgaber, becomes stronger, it strengthens on him. Ilmale HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ozro, and if not for the fact that Hashem would save him that day, Hayad Nofel B'yodo, you'd fall in his hands. I once heard Rav Shalom Arush, he was giving a shiur when I was in Queens, and he said this beautiful thing. He said, don't get upset that you wasted seed. Don't get upset that you watched porn. Don't get upset that you blazed. Don't get upset that you did whatever it is, the thing that you didn't want to do. The only reason you should be upset at yourself is because you didn't pray to Hashem to help you not to do that thing.
Well.
And then he quoted this Gemara. He says, absolutely not within your capacity to overcome your Yetzer Hara. You can't do it. The only thing you can do, and the only thing you need to do, is Ratzon and to ask Hashem to help you. V'al ken ikrit paru to rock baratzon masha kol echa meYisrael rotze baratzon chazak lavod yibarach. And according to the level that you strengthen your ratzon, that strengthens everyone to want Hashem with a strong will, like that he merits to serve Hashem. Kamo ken Hashem yibarach takes pride in him. The pride is totally dependent and parallel and commensurate with the degree to which you want Hashem. That's how much pride he takes in you. And the Or Chaim is an amazing chiddush in Perush on the Torah, and he says an amazing thing. He says, how do I know if Hashem really wants me? I forget where it is in there. But he says, how do I know that Hashem wants me? What's my siman?
We said one time that the Zohar says when someone asks you for tzedakah.
Right, it's good. So we speak about that a lot, but the Or Chaim says something different here. Something much more personal. Something more personal.
For tefillah struck up repeatedly, know it's getting answered.
That's a good answer, but that's not what he says. The Or Chaim says, how do I know that Hashem wants me? He says, if you want him. Amazing thing.
So simple, huh?
But it's amazing. Hashem is manifesting his desire for me through my desire for him.
Well, that's trippy.
Very trippy. It reminds me of Rabbi Nachman's lesson on the 5th Torah, Likutey Moharan, where he says that the simcha that a Jew has in the mitzvah, when he does a mitzvah, is actually Hashem's simcha manifesting through you. That's Hashem's joy that you're just experiencing. And that's what the Or Chaim says. How do I know Hashem wants me? When I want him. It's an amazing thing. Like, a person could be struggling tremendously, struggling with mental health issues, struggling with financial issues, struggling with shalom bayit issues, the whole gamut. And I'm like, does Hashem even want me? Does he even care about me? And like, why are you in all of those situations? Why do you care so much? Because of how much you want Hashem. How painful is that for you that you want him so bad and you feel like he's not connected? And Or Chaim saying, hey, dummy. Why do you want Hashem so much? That's how much Hashem wants you. It's amazing. Ki ikrid parut is the azut and the akshanut of a Jew.
So the main of it is just to let Hashem want Hashem more.
Help me help you. The ikar akshanut hu ratzon, and this essential hitgabrut of the maniot to merit, to actualize the thing that you want. Ki ifilu, even if he'll be an akshan gadol, all the more so now that Hashem afal piken bevadai, there's going to be maniot. That's going to be impossible for you to break. For example, Rav Natan says, when a person desires to travel to the true tzaddik, and just remember that traveling to the true tzaddik is not just going to Uman. When I want to have hikashu with the tzaddik, I want to get closer to the tzaddik, it's also traveling to the tzaddik. So Rav Natan says when a person wants to travel to the true tzaddik, v'yesh lo maniot rabot v'atzumot, and he has awesome, fearsome obstacles. Kagon, for example, mechot no from his father-in-law, v'ishto from his wife, v'aviv from his father, v'imo from his mother, usha'ar b'nei olam, and every other person in the world. Rav Natan's getting very specific. But how much a Breslov can relate to this? Hu mitgaber mitchazek u'mishaber kol maniot e'elu. He needs to strengthen himself, and he needs to increase his resolve, and he needs to break every single one of these obstacles. V'adayin yesh lo maniot mechamot, and that's not all, because guess what other maniot you're going to have? You're going to have an obstacle when it comes to your finances. Hu mishaber gam ken maniot e'elu. He's got to break these also. For example, shemak pir kol ma sheyesh lo, meaning he's got to get rid of whatever it is that he does have, so that he can go travel to the tzaddik. Umocher, and he needs to sell all of it. Or memashken kisuta, or he needs to lend out his garment bishvil nisol tzaddik, so in turn he can have money to travel to the tzaddik. Or shaholech ragli, or if he doesn't have any money at all, he needs to build his will enough that he'll walk there.
I mean, whatever he has to do, it's gonna have to.
Whatever he's got to
He's
do,
gonna get some ruts on.
if his will is strong enough, he'll find a way. Unless the person think, well, I just don't have the money to fly.
I mean, every,
So Rav
every
Nat-
morning the alarm goes off at whatever.
so
hour
Rav
it goes
Natan
off.
says, so walk.
Sorry.
No, so Rav Natan says, so walk.
Crawl.
Like every single morning, you know, the alarm goes off, and then like I'm even awake with it, like, and it's just like at some point I'm like, I should have to turn on the ruts enough to just choose to get out of bed.
Yeah,
That's all it comes down to.
yes. And I would highly, highly encourage you, before you go to bed, to mamish, when you do have koach, beg Hashem. Say, Hashem, listen, you know it's so hard for me to get up in the morning. You know this is plaguing my existence. I so deeply want to, but when the morning comes, I don't want to at all. I'm learning. You told me in your own Torah, this is totally out of my hands. Baruch Hashem, thank God I feel a lot better about this whole situation now. Makes a lot of sense. But now that makes me realize how much more I actually need you for this. And I'm begging you, I want what you want, please want what I want. Let me get up in the morning. That when that alarm hits, I'm excited like a lion to get out of the bed. And if you really mean that prayer, Hashem's gonna help you. ואף על פי כן, אם מתגבר מידת הדין, חס ושלום. Even with all of these things, you still strengthen yourself. And the midat adin, the attribute of judgment, sees that you're not giving up. Then he comes and brings you a maniya that you had never expected. That he's able to withhold you, bevadai, with maniyot like these that you're not able to break. Why? Kis bevadai, because certainly there are maniyot rabot in the world that are impossible to break. For example, tefisa, you are chained. Bechavle barzel chas v'shalom. You say, I want to go to Rabbeinu. And then someone says, oh, that's great. And he takes out handcuffs. And now your mom is in chains. What does Rabbeinu say then? What should I do then? Or chola'at, your mom is sick. Like you're actually literally, you're so sick that you're incapacitated. Chas v'shalom. וכן למשל בעניין שאנו עוסקים בו ללך ונצוע לארץ ישראל. And just like this mashal, you want to travel to the land of Israel. That this is the essential victory of war, like Rabbeinu says in the 20th lesson of the Likutey Moharan. That if you get to the land of Israel, you can mamash say, I am an ish milchama and mean it. I am a man of war. Because the ultimate victory, Rabbeinu says, is to get to the land of Israel. But if you really want to be in Eretz Yisrael, guess what? You're going to have to be incredibly stubborn. Because, however, if it will be a person stubborn, 1,000 times over, if the ocean that he's traveling on stands up, and there's no boat for him to pass through, and isn't in his hand money, and it isn't the ability to get on a boat at all, that it's a time of war going on in the world, chas v'shalom. Similarly, in the land of Israel, what benefit is your stubbornness then? Because you mamis literally just practically can't do it. Ki b'vadai yefshar likbotz l'toch hayam, because for sure it's impossible to jump over the ocean. Right, how much you want, in that case, is not going to do it for you. Ki lav ko adam zoches sheshem yiparach yikra b'shvilo, because not everybody is zochet to have Hashem split the sea for him, like he did for Moshe. Al ken ikar akshanut hu rak baratzon. Still, the essential stubbornness you need to have is only in your will. She'eich shehu al kol panim, that whatever happens, however it happens, lo yechalish et haratzon, do not weaken your will. Bafilu imonimoto ba'alafim revot, even if there's thousand myriads of obstacles. Shinmid lo, that it appears to you. She'iev shar, it's literally impossible. The shavrim b'shum ofen, for you to break it in any way. Afal piken hu yaset shalo, you still need to do what you can. What is that? v'yirtzeh b'chol pa'am b'ratzon chazak biyoter. To want it even more. Ki ha'cheshek v'haratzon tzarich shehi kafir maniyah. Because your desire has to be commensurate with the obstacle, like Rabbeinu brings there. Okay, and Rav Natan ends up saying, and this is the essential obstacle. The essential obstacle that's actually facing us is the mania, which is trying to get us to stop wanting. And we need to fight that obstacle by wanting it more. Okay? I want to say one more thing quickly. The last year of Natan's life, we have the letters that he wrote to his children. We have the letters that he wrote to the Hasidim of Rabbeinu. And the compiler, the one who put together Alim Terufa, which is all of Rav Natan's letters, which you have not, if you have not seen it, highly, highly recommend it. You try not to go a day without it, not because I have to try so hard, but because I feel dead if I don't see it. The amount of chizuk that's in there, the amount of real life, like what do you do in this situation? What does it really look like to be a Breslover? It's very clear for Rav Natan in that book what it looks like to be a Breslover. Highly, yeah, Alim Terufa. They have it in English. BRI came out with it's called the Collected Letters of Rav Natan and Breslov. How we even have this is a mamash miracle, because it was found after his death. It wasn't like it was like the other books that he wrote. He didn't write this. They thought there was no letters, and then they found them like in a miraculous way. So these are the letters of our teacher and Rav, our pride and strength, the apple of our eye, Rav Natan of holy sainted memory. From the year 605 of the 6th millennium, it was in this year that he passed away on the 10th of Tevet, December 20th, 1844, which fell then on Friday, Erev Shabbos, Vayigash. May his merit protect us, Amen Salah. So I want to just read you a short letter of Rav Natan, and these letters were for us also. And another reason why it's good to read these letters is because Rav Natan is he's not politically correct, and he just tells his kids and other Hasidim exactly like it is, and it's good to hear the honest truth sometimes. It's actually good to hear it every day if you can. Rav Natan's good for that, okay? With thanks to God, Tuesday, Lech Lecha.
Do you know the number of the letter where he says, like, straight up that Menachem says, come to me for Rosh Hashanah? All the more so afterwards, like every year, you come to him.
Yeah,
Do you know
but I
which
feel
letter
like,
that is?
I don't know which letter that is.
I feel like people still have their excuses. They still say it needs to come to him in Eretz Yisrael, you know? No, I'm not trying to take away from the letter. I'm saying, like,
Where is he?
who, Rabbi Nachman?
Yeah.
I know where he is. I'm just saying the stuff that I actually heard from people. They're saying, yeah, it means after he's dead, but he's in the Kosa, you know, like, cause his neshama's there, or he's in different places in.
Listen, if I break this cup, it's okay, right? Nobody's gonna be upset at me. I can't take this stuff. Anybody who knows Breslov a little bit, anybody who's been through Rav Natan's writings a little bit, anybody who's been through Rabbi Nachman's writings a little bit, and doesn't have an agenda, meaning, when I say agenda, I don't mean like he's not for Rabbeinu, he's not for Breslov, he doesn't love it, he doesn't believe in it. I mean, I'm coming with a shtickle of like, I need it to be a certain way for myself. And if it's not that way, there's like a limit to how much I want to invest in this. So for instance, I love all of these teachings, but only if they apply to a person who lives in the land of Israel. Or I love all of these teachings, but only if. Anyone who doesn't have an agenda, he's just learning it because he wants to know what it says, he's going to know that Rabbi Nachman and Rav Natan are the simplest human beings that ever lived. And they mean literally exactly what they say. And they don't mean it's not a mashal, it's not an example, it's not alluding, he's not alluding to anything else. You know, when Rabbi Nachman said, it would be very good to want to live in the land of Israel. And Rav Natan says, what do you mean want to live in the land of Israel? He said, I mean to go get an apartment and go live there. The houses and the apartments over there. That's what I mean. When Rabbi Nachman said, I want you to come to me for Rosh Hashanah, he means where I am physically. That's what he means. He doesn't mean where the Bechina of me exists in the world. And when Rabbi Nachman says to come to the land of Israel, he doesn't mean Chutz Haaretz in the Bechina of the land of Israel. That's not what he means.
Yeah. That's what you were writing on the chat last week.
Yeah. This is my biggest pet peeve is mamish. It hurts me. It hurts me because it's the greatest danger to Breslov Chassidus. More so for me than a person who doesn't believe in Rabbeinu, doesn't believe in his teachings, thinks the whole thing's crazy. I would much rather be in a room with that guy than the one who looks like a chassid and has payas and is coming out with chidushim and he's saying that you can achieve what Rabbeinu wanted, Rosh Hashanah in Yerushalayim. That's the scariest thing in the world. And I want to tell you why it's scary. Because if you're wrong, and people are listening to you, you have mamish just took something that was the most important thing to Rabbi Nachman, the most important thing to him, and you've caused it not to happen. I mean, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I personally wouldn't be able to sleep at night. It would scare me. I would actually be scared. I'd be scared. Rav Natan says it a million times over. Read these letters, I'm telling you. You're going to see him say it over and over again.
If you err on the side of, you err on the side of the tmimut and like the pashtus, so like, oh, he probably meant to go to Uman. So the worst that could happen is, oh, we listened to our Rebbe and we did exactly like he said. No one's gonna blame.
100%, and even more than the erring on the tamimus, if you simply just read Breslov Chassidus and you learn the teachings of Rabbi Nachman and you read these letters. I want a person to just go through Olim Taru for once and come out with the conclusion that Rabbi Nachman didn't mean everything he said simply. I want someone to look in the eye and say, Rabbi Nachman didn't mean what he meant simply. I read these letters every day and I'm like, how is that a thing? Like, I don't even know, I don't get how it's a thing. You have to have not just like, I don't know. Don't fall for that. It's a big, big, big mistake. So Rav Natan says like this. He's speaking to his son, Rav Yitzchak, his eldest son. I received your letter yesterday. I already heard a little bit about the Yeshua of your son, my grandson, David Tzvi, may live, but I didn't believe it. I myself was in Teplik between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, and I spoke with him face to face. He did not mention anything about it. May Hashem rescue you from all the pain and fear, and may you merit to rear your sons and your daughter to long, good lives amidst satisfaction and joy. Now listen to what Rav Natan says. But you already know, my dear son, that the world is replete with suffering. Like it says in Eov, man was born to toil, short-lived and full of grief. Woohoo! You guys pumped? Rav Natan says, all the philosophers acknowledge this too. What they do not know, however, is the ultimate purpose for which man was created to toil. But we are your people, the children of your covenant, the children of Avraham, Ashreinu. Happy are we, how good is our portion, for we know the absolute truth about the eternal goal, that man was created in order to know God. And for this, it is well worth enduring this suffering. And what is more, the very fact that a person knows about and believes in this itself tempers the suffering and enables him to turn everything in his life into joy mamish. The primary way of doing this is by bringing oneself to joy that we are from the seed of Israel and that we know about and we believe in the true tzaddik who actually attained the eternal goal, meaning that he knew Hashem. And no matter what, through him we will certainly merit to have a good eternal end, to gaze upon the Noam of Hashem, the pleasantness of Hashem, and compared with the tiniest point of this awesome expectation and hope, all the world's toil and suffering is like nothing. And what is more, Baruch Hashem, he will not send into his hand into the grave. And in the suffering you gave me relief. So that within the dire straits that a person goes through himself, there are many great expansions that Hashem is showing him. Therefore, Rav Natan told his son, just really be happy! Exclamation point. Just happy! Exclamation point. Be healthy and joyful all the time, and accustom yourself to constantly turn all your grief and sighing into joy, like we've already discussed extensively, for it's good to thank God that He already provided us with the cure in advance of the blow through our holy and awesome Rebbe of holy sainted memory, and there is hope for our final outcome. The words of your father, Nassim of Breslov. And one more, and then we're done. Okay? Rav Natan said to his son and all of his family, he spoke about a very famous sikh from Sikhot Iran, and he said like this: after everything that you and I and all of us have endured, it's necessary to repeat the Rebbe's awesome words anew. Hashem is very great, and we know nothing about it at all. Things are taking place in the world, and Rabbi Nachman said people know absolutely nothing about it at all. He concluded this conversation about the fact that Hashem is doing these incredible things all the time, and people know nothing about it, by then concluding and saying, and the main thing based on this is never to despair of crying, praying, supplicating, entreating to Hashem. These words, Rav Natan said, have given me vitality for a long time now. And not only that, but they help me to speak with people and to shine points of absolute truth into them. How great are Hashem's deeds. If you listen to and you really think about this sikha, you too will be able to feel in your heart what's impossible to articulate with your mouth. That is, that her husband is known in the gates. That is, like the Zohar says, Hashem is known to each person according to what he conceives in his heart. For the Rebbe spoke of this holy sikha after he revealed all of these awesome, exalted Torah lessons and stories, these unbelievable revelations of godliness, his profound, awesome, and wondrous advice, the likes of which have never been revealed before. And after he revealed all of these cool, fresh, running water of the well springs of this salvation, after all of this, then, he said, and he cried out to us, we don't know anything. We know nothing at all. And if you really think about all of this, you're going to be able to say with new enthusiasm and feeling that Hashem is mamish great. His greatness is unfathomable. Similarly, in every place where the greatness of Hashem is mentioned, we can understand through this perception that by God's compassion, He will open to us this light of the infinite until we merit to speak our words with great fervor and self-sacrifice. It is impossible to explain this matter any further, even in person, let alone in writing. Hashem, my God, you are very great. I now understand the verse for myself in the following way. Hashem, my God, meaning even the revelation of your godliness, the greatness that you illuminate my heart with, as in my God. Even there you are very great, meaning how much more you must actually be great in relation to how I fathom that you're great. It's impossible to explain all of this, and it's practically impossible even to write it down, Rav Natan said. But because of your enormous desire, I simply could not restrain myself. But now that Hashem has sent these words to my pen, my dear beloved son, really take them to heart and do not say that you're far from them, given your actions and your business affairs, chas v'chalila, that you should tell yourself such a thing. To the contrary, this is Hashem's enormous greatness, that in His compassion He informed us through the true tzaddik that His greatness is unfathomable, and there is hope every moment of every day for every single person. For He already supplied us with the eternal cure in advance of our crushing blows, chas v'chalila, the spiritual blows, which are the greatest suffering of all, as each person knows in his own soul. But in direct response to this, the entire awesome conversation left the Rebbe's holy mouth. This conversation which begins, God is great, we don't know nothing at all about it, and he ended with, and the main thing is never to despair of crying out. As I quoted above, I merit to hear directly from his holy mouth. And with all of this that he spoke in my presence contains extremely profound meaning. As far as it concerns us, he said it only in order that we should too believe in Hashem's enormous greatness and thereby fortify ourselves, never despair of crying out to whatever should come upon us, upon our children, upon all future generations, because God is great and we know nothing at all. And Rabbi Nachman said there's a phenomena that everything is turned to the good. The very fact that I'm now writing you these words, my dear son, is a result of Hashem's enormous greatness. So fortify yourself determinedly, my son and my friend. Seize happiness and joy, turn all grief and sighing into joy at all times. And with that, I want to announce on Rav Natan's yahrzeit, B'schut Rav Natan, in his memory, and in my very small, poor, feeble attempt to emulate him as best as I can. I'm very excited to announce that with unbelievable siyata d'shmaya, many years of tefillah, and a tremendous stubbornness, I hope, Bezrat Hashem, very soon to open up the first English-speaking Breslov yeshiva in the world. And Baruch Hashem, I'm looking at places.
You got my living room.
Looking at places, and I had did a very extensive search for a Rosh Yeshiva to the yeshiva, and I found somebody that I'm really, really, really excited about.
Who?
Natan.
I knew it. I knew it.
Jordan Peterson, what's his name?
That's what I was gonna say.
He did a year already. He's doing years and Yarden.
So it's not the same.
Yarden.
Listen, it's a Breslov yeshiva, so it can't be too serious. It's got to be funny and silly. So Willy Wonka will be our Rosh Yeshiva. No, but I found something very, very special. He is a Talmud of one of the great Gedolim of the
Can you say his
generation.
name?
No, I can't say it yet until everything's official.
Ooh.
But he's committed and he believes in it, and I'm gonna be Bezrat Hashem the mashpia at the yeshiva. So I'm gonna make sure that the avir is good there, the air is good, the culture is good. There's brotherhood and there's love and it's honest and true. And
Any spots you're thinking of?
they're all in Yerushalayim. I could just tell you that.
So far it's rolled up.
And Bezrat Hashem, I'm hoping to be able to announce officially what it is and where it is, and but it, Bezrat Hashem really is going to happen.
Wow.
So I hope with Hashem's help to start Elul,
Wow.
and
That's serious.
yeah, and Bezrat Hashem to go with whoever will be the first students of the yeshiva to Uman together as a group. So one reason I'm telling you that is because this is B'schut Rav Natan, and I mean that in every single possible way. His life and his legacy, his self-sacrifice, his showing that everything is possible if you just believe in the tzaddik enough. And what a life of just pure self-sacrifice to that truth can bring you. In the beginning, we'll probably have a smaller group of students just to start. If you yourself listening want to be one of those students, please let me know. And as Hashem, we're also gonna the part of the plan is also to get housing. That there's gonna be actual apartments to the yeshiva. Like it's gonna be a real thing. And there's been English-speaking programs before. And I don't know, maybe I didn't see it, but there's never been an English-speaking yeshiva. So like it's just mama's unbelievable, it blows my mind. If there's anyone else that you know, if you know anyone that you feel like they're single, they're not married yet, they would really benefit from being in, what we're doing now, Yom V'Layla, every day, all week, together with an amazing group of people, really learning and connecting, and Sichot Averim, and Bezrat Hashem going on trips together, and all this amazing stuff. If you're interested, or you know anybody else who you think would be interested, please tell me soon, because that number is probably going to start out small, and so probably whoever the first 10, 15 people are who really want to do it are probably going to be the ones who are in it. So, Mazal Tov to all of us. We're all included in this. This is our thing. And this is Rabbeinu's thing, and this is Rav Natan's thing. So, L'chaim, and Bezrat Hashem, we should have the light of Rav Natan shine today for all of us, and take that light through this dark winter, and Bezrat Hashem, B'schut his self-sacrifice, we should see the Mashiach Zikenu, B'mirav Yameinu.
Amen.